Sobriety Essays number 65. Leave Orange County AA in Orange County. With about 2 years of sobriety, I heard a man share a story in a meeting that made sense to me. He said, when you leave Orange County AA in Orange County. He shared a story about himself. He was 18 months sober and got a job in Bishop, California, and he had gotten sober in Orange County. When he arrived, he found AA meetings in Bishop and did not like them. Too serious, too dark a room, only a single light bulb to light up the place. So George quit going to meetings. Day by day, he became more miserable. Finally, at about 6 months, he began to think about ending it all. So one day it was over and he did not want to continue living the way he was living. As he was preparing to end it all, the phone rang. He said it was physically impossible to commit suicide when the phone is ringing, so he answered the phone. It was a newcomer that wanted to go to a meeting. Loving God, I love God's timing. So George picked up the newcomer and took him to a meeting in Mammoth, California, about 35 miles north of Bishop. The next day, he picked up the newcomer and took him to a meeting, an AA meeting in Lone Pine. Now, Lone Pine is about 60 miles south of Bishop. After about 30 days of running up and down Highway 395, the newcomer was coming up on 30 days and said to George, they do have AA meetings in Bishop. George sounded downtrodden and he said, okay, he would go. He came out of the Bishop meeting and stated, my God, the meetings had changed. He made it clear the meeting had not changed. George had changed. That story made a big difference in my life as I have traveled a lot. I have been to meetings all over the world and all over the United States. This includes Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. All the meetings I have gone to all use the same big book, the same preamble, and the same 12 steps and 12 traditions. They all also have their own personalities. I've been skin diving off the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and got to an AA meeting the same day. I caught a 59.5-pound king salmon off the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska and got to an AA meeting the same day. In my 70s, I went parakiting behind a speedboat in Zihuatanejo, Mexico, and got to an AA meeting the same day. Now, for some unique meetings, before my wife and I went to Istanbul, Turkey, I went online and found English-speaking AA meetings. I got in touch with a lady teaching English, and I got an exact address, time, and day. But what a lot of people do not know is the city of Istanbul, Turkey is built on 2 continents. There's a 300-yard wide waterway that goes right through the middle of the city, and one side is Europe and one side is Asia. I took a ferry boat to the Asian side, and there at the gate was a guy holding a sign that said Chuck1984, and he took me to an English-speaking meeting. How about here in the U.S.? I've been retired for about 25 years and have been RVing a lot of the time. Too many towns, cities to write about. But there are some interesting meetings. Ever been to a ticket meeting? Flagstaff, Arizona has one. You go in the door, they hand you a raffle ticket. You get half, and the other half goes into a jar. After the leader qualifies, he starts to pick tickets out of the jar. If your number is called, you share. Now, they stretch that format out until about 10 minutes before the meeting is over. Then they quit. They open the meeting up and ask, is there anybody with a burning desire? How about going to a stick meeting? In Gardnerville, Nevada, as you come through the door, they hand you a stick that looks like a tongue depressor. On the stick is a topic. You get called upon, you share about the topic. 2 AA stories about Lusk, Wyoming, 20 years apart. In the year 2000, just outside of Lusk, Wyoming, we were hit by an 88,000-pound gravel truck, destroyed our travel trailer, and put my wife, grandson, and myself in the hospital for a few hours. Actually, it was not a hospital. The town was too small to support a hospital. It was a health center. I asked the doctor if he knew any AA meetings at Lusk. He did not know, but he knew of a phone number for a crisis line. I called the crisis center. They did not know if there was any AA meetings, but they did have a phone number for an alcoholic. So I called Dave and got his message machine. I introduced him myself. I told him I had been in an accident. I would like to go to a meeting. I left him with a name of the motel we were in and the room number. The love of this program is ever present. 9:30 the following morning, there was Dave knocking on the front door. I got to meet all 6 members of the AA Lusk, Wyoming that evening. Really felt good. 20 years later, my wife had passed away. I had celebrated 32 years of sobriety. 4 years later, I remarried, and also to a lady who got sober in 1984. We were in our little motor home and headed for Lusk, Wyoming. By this time, technology had developed an app called a meeting guide. Yeah, we could not find a meeting in Lusk, Wyoming. So I had my wife call the police station asking about AA. The police said they would call us back and contacted 3 AA members asking permission to give out their phone numbers. We called and we found out there was no AA meetings in Lusk that night. That did not slow me down even a little bit. We invited all 3 members of Lusk, Wyoming AA down to the RV where we were at. Cooked up a pot of coffee, and all 5 of us in a small RV had a good old-fashioned AA meeting. So there are not too many places I cannot find an AA meeting. This includes cruising. Most of the time it is held in the ship's chapel. Last trip to Cabo San Lucas, there was as many as 17 people in the meeting. I still love my AA meetings in Orange County. But when I travel, I leave Orange County AA in Orange County. To add to this essay, I will say, what is the difference between meetings in Orange County and elsewhere? Well, most of the meetings in Southern California are, in the evening time at least, are an hour and a half long, whereas most of the meetings around the country and world are only 1 hour long. 2, when we start a meeting, we go around the room and introduce ourselves. When we're out and about, people are introduced as they share. Number 3, when somebody gets done sharing, we clap. Most meetings around the country do not do that. So there is these slight differences, and there is a whole lot of similarity. It is fun to go to meetings.
Any ideas?